Okay, so to understand finite element method on beams, I will take you to directly to one PDF. There we will solve one numerical, and through this numerical, you will understand the analysis of beams or finite element method on beams. Now we have studied the finite element method theory in the last semester. So no need to repeat the theoretical background of finite element method. We know that finite element method is applied by discretization. We will discretize the system into nodes and elements. Then we find out the element stiffness matrix, and then find the global stiffness matrix. Then we apply the loading conditions and boundary conditions, and we find out the unknowns from that equation. So the same concept or same steps we will apply to the beams. Now, what do you mean by beams? So beams is is a structure to which we apply the transverse loading. So any circular structure or any square structure which is subjected to a loading which is perpendicular to the axis of the shaft, then that structure is called beams. So beam is the name of the structure where the direction of loading is perpendicular to the axis of the shaft. So if the loading is applied perpendicular to the axis of the shaft, then how stiffness matrix is derived, and how to find out the element stiffness matrix, how to find out the global stiffness matrix. All these things we are going to apply when we apply FEM to beams. Okay. So to make you understand the finite element method on beams, I will take you to one PDF. So we will solve one numerical, and through the numerical only, I will explain the steps and I will explain the procedure of analysis of beams. So are you able to see this PDF? Can you see this PDF? Yes, anyone respond? Can you see
Yes,
this
sir.
PDF?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. So this is one problem. Okay. So a beam fixed at one end and supported by roller at the other end. So this is a beam. Okay, it is fixed. It is fixed at this end. So this is a beam and it is fixed at one end and supported at other. Now here you can see that the support is a roller support. So this is a roller support. Okay? Roller support है. So what this roller support does, it allow the beam to displace in x direction. Okay, so x direction is allowed, but displacement in y direction is not allowed. So displacement in y direction is not allowed. Okay, so this is the function of this roller support in horizontal direction. Okay, so though it allows the displacement of the beam in x direction, but it does not allow the displacement of the beam in y direction. Supported by a roller at the other end and has a 20 kilonewton concentrated load applied at the center of the span. Okay. Now here a load 20 किलो न्यूटन, ये 20 किलो न्यूटन का लोड है और ये कहाँ पे अप्लाई किया है? इट इज अप्लाइड एट द सेंटर. So here you can see that this is the center of the beam. This is 500 centimeter on the left side. This is 500 centimeter on the right side. So both side equal. Load is applied 20 kilonewton at the center. Now here uh, the length of the beam is called span. Okay, span is a technical term which is used for representing the length of a beam. Okay. Actually, uh, we cannot use length of a beam term, length term in the beam. You need to use this span word. Okay. अगर आपने बीम का लेंथ बोला तो वो गलत नहीं होगा वो, लेकिन टेक्निकली जो है उसको स्पैन बोला जाता है. So technically the length of the beam is called as span. So whenever you are mentioning the length of a beam, you always use this term span. So this is called a good technical knowledge. जो लेमन्स रहते हैं वो बोल सकते हैं कि बीम का लेंथ इतना है, लेकिन जो जो टेक्निकल लोग रहते हैं, जो हार्डकोर इंजीनियर्स रहते हैं, they always use the length of the beam as span. To remember this thing. So this 20 kilonewton load is applied uh, at the center of this beam span, as shown in figure. Calculate the deflection under the load. Now here the variable which we need to calculate is the deflection. Okay? So deflection of the beam. Now obviously this is a beam. So this is a beam, and when you apply a loading at the center, then this beam will undergo deflection. Okay, the maximum deflection will be at the center of the beam. मैक्सिमम डिफ्लेक्शन कहाँ पे रहेगा? सेंटर में रहेगा, क्योंकि जो लोड है वो सेंटर में एक्ट कर रहा है. अब यहाँ पे ये लोड की वजह से ये वाले पॉइंट पे और ये वाले पॉइंट पे किस प्रकार के लोड अप्लाई हो रहे हैं? यहाँ पे ये इसकी वजह से एक मोमेंट अप्लाई हो रहा है ना, एक टॉर्क ये पॉइंट पे अप्लाई हो रहा है और यहाँ पे भी टॉर्क अप्लाई हो रहा है. And a force multiplied by distance is what? Moment, or you can say a torque. So torque is applied at this end as well as at this end. Similarly, a vertical force is also applied in this end. So because of this central loading, here torque is applied at this end, torque is applied in the other end, and vertical forces or vertical reactions, you can say, it will act in this two ends. Okay. So first of all, what we'll do, we will discretize this beam into number of elements and nodes. So here the cross-sectional area of the beam is constant. A force is applied at the center of the span. So it is convenient to divide this beam into two elements and three nodes. Okay. So here you can see the entire span of the beam is divided into two elements. This is element number 1. Okay, this is element number 1, this is element number 2. And there are three nodes. This is node number 1, this is node number 2, and this is node number 3. So three nodes and two elements. So this is a discretization part. Now we will see the forces which are acting on these nodes. At node number 1, we consider the force as F1. At node number 2, we consider the force as F2. At node number 3, we consider the force as F3. Similarly, V1 is the displacement of this node, node 1. V2 is the displacement of node 2, and V3 is the displacement of node 3. Okay, so F1, F2, F3, these are the transverse loading, and V1, V2, V3, these are the displacements of the three nodes in vertical direction. Now, apart from the linear loading, there is moment also. A moment is also applied on these three nodes. So M1 is the moment applied at node number 1, M2 is the moment applied at node number 2, and M3 is the moment applied at node number 3. So M1, M2, M3, these are the three moments that we consider at the three nodes. And since there are moments applied at node number 1, 2, and 3, that means these nodes will undergo angular displacement as well. Okay, so this V1, V2, V3, these are the linear displacements because of the linear loading F1, F2, F3. But apart from the linear loading, these nodes are also acted upon by the angular loading or moments, and because of this, these nodes will undergo angular displacements as well. So theta 1 is the angular displacement of node 1, theta 2 is the angular displacement of node 2, and theta 3 is the angular displacement of node 3. Okay? So this is, you can say, discretization of the beam. So we have discretized it into two elements and three nodes, and these are the forces and the moments that we consider at every node. Okay, so this is discretization part. So this is completed. Now we move on to the element stiffness matrix. Okay, stiffness matrix. Now, since there are two elements and one stiffness matrix for each element, so there will be two element stiffness matrix. The element stiffness matrix for the beam element is given as EI upon L cube in bracket 12 6L minus 12 6L 6L 4L square minus 6L 2L square minus 12 minus 6L 12 minus 6L and 6L 2L minus 6L 4L square. Okay? So EI upon L cube, और ये जो है, this is the element stiffness matrix. This is the element stiffness matrix for beam element. Okay, so this is a beam element. Beam element. Now we know the element stiffness matrix for 1D element. So 1D element का क्या है? A equal to AE by L, AE by L into 1 minus 1 minus 1, 1. So this is the element stiffness for 1D element. But the stiffness matrix for beam element is this. There is a complete derivation for the element stiffness matrix of the beam element, but we will not go into the derivation part, because if you go into the derivation part, then this lecture would not have completed in 1 hour. So you remember that the element stiffness matrix is given by this formula. So this is a formula for the element stiffness matrix for beam element. Okay. Now we find out the element stiffness matrix for first element. So we find out the value of this factor E1 I1 upon L cube. So E1 is given. So here you can see that the Young's modulus is given 20 into 10 to the power 6 Newton per centimeter square. Then this moment of inertia is given 2500 centimeter to the power 4. Now here in the problem, sometimes cross-sectional area will be given and sometimes moment of inertia will be given. So if moment of inertia is given, then it is not a problem. But if the cross-sectional area is given, then you need to find out the moment of inertia from the cross-sectional area. Okay. Uh, so by using a design data book, you can easily find out the moment of inertia of the beam. If the सर्कुलर बीम अगर है तो डायमीटर दिया रहेगा, और अगर स्क्वायर बीम है तो उसका ब्रेड्थ और हाइट दिया रहेगा. तो उसके फिजिकल डायमेंशंस के हिसाब से आप उसका मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया फाइंड आउट कर सकते हो. तो यहाँ पे मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया का वैल्यू, यंग्स मॉडुलस का वैल्यू, यू पुट ऑल दीज वैल्यूज in this factor E1 I1 upon L cube, you will get 400 Newton per centimeter. So this will be the multiplying factor for the stiffness matrix of the first element, and inside the matrix it will be 12 6 into L, 6 into L. So here L is 500 centimeter. So 500 into 6 is 3000. So this is minus 12 and this is again 3000. Then this is 3000 and 4 into 500 का square. So this comes out to be 10 to the power 6. Then this is minus 6L, so minus 3000. 2 into L square. So this is 5 into 10 to the power 5. This is minus 12, minus 300, 12, minus 300. And this is 300. 5 into 10 to the power 5 minus 3000. It should be 3000. Should be 3000. And 10 to the power 6. Okay. So this is the element stiffness matrix of the first member. Now, how to remember this element stiffness matrix? So here you can see that this is a diagonal matrix. So diagonal matrix means the upper half of this diagonal matrix is exactly similar to the lower half. Okay? So if you divide this matrix about its diagonal, then the upper half and the lower half is a mirror image. So this value will come to here, 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 this value will come to here. So here, if you remember the half portion of this element stiffness matrix, then you can find out the lower half, because it is just a mirror image. So this is our equation number 1. element stiffness matrix of first member. Now you can give the row number, column number here. The row number, column number will be this. पहला जो नोड है उसमें कौन सा डिस्प्लेसमेंट एक्ट कर रहा है, V1, दैट इज लीनियर डिस्प्लेसमेंट V1 एंड एंगुलर डिस्प्लेसमेंट θ1. So here also the first row will be V1 and this is θ1. Sorry, V1. So this is V1 θ1 and V2 θ2. Okay, V2 and θ2. Since this is the element stiffness matrix of first element, and first element is made up of two nodes, node number 1 and 2, that is why the row number, column number will be V1 θ1 and V2 θ2. So give the row number, column number to this matrix. Okay, so our element stiffness matrix for the first member is ready. In a same, exactly the similar way, we will calculate the element stiffness matrix for the second member. So K2, that is E2 I2 upon L2Q. तो यहाँ पे यंग्स मॉड्यूलस का, मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया का और लेंथ, ये तीनों का वैल्यू जो है सेकेंड एलिमेंट के लिए भी सेम है. तो इसलिए ये जो मल्टीप्लाइंग फैक्टर है ये यहाँ पे भी क्या आएगा, 400 ही आएगा. Now find out the matrix values. Again the matrix values will be exactly the same because here the physical dimensions are not changing, the loading condition is also not changing. So that is why the stiffness matrix of element number 1 and element number 2 would appear exactly same. The only difference will be the row number and column number to element number 1 and element number 2. Since element number 2 is made up of node number 2 and 3, so the row number, column number will go like this. The first row will be V2, that is first linear displacement. Always start the numbering from the linear displacement of the first local node. So for element number 2, the first local node is node number 2 and the linear displacement of node number 2 is V2. So always start numbering from the first local node linear displacement. So first is V2, second is θ2, third is V3 and fourth is θ3. So similarly you give the row number, column number, you give the row number as that of the column number in the same sequence. This is our element 2. Okay. This is our element number 2. Now we are ready with the element stiffness matrix. Okay. Now it's time to find out the global stiffness matrix. That means assemble the element stiffness matrix together to form the global stiffness matrix. The global stiffness matrix will be of size 6 by 6 because there are 3 nodes and at each node there are 2 degrees of freedom. One is in linear vertical direction and another one is in circular direction. Okay? So that is why the size of the stiffness matrix will be 6 by 6. So 3 nodes are there. So 3 into 2, the size of the stiffness matrix will be 6 by 6. The row number, column number to this global stiffness matrix will be V1 θ1, V2 θ2, V3 θ3. Similarly, column numbers V1 θ1, V2 θ2, V3 θ3. So 6 by 6 matrix. Now by looking at element number 1 and stiffness of element number 1 and stiffness of element number 2, you can assemble the matrix. So here the values are assembled, and we have obtained the global stiffness matrix over here. So for example, V1, V1. So this place is 12. So here V1, V1 row number, V1 column number, this is 12. So theta 1 V1 is 3000. There is no V1 theta 1, so it is 3000. V2 V1 is minus 12. So minus 12. So you know how to assemble uh, the two matrices by looking at the row numbers and column numbers. Okay? So we have studied the assembly of the matrix in the CAD subject, and you can utilize that knowledge in assembling the global stiffness matrix here also. So by looking at the row numbers and column numbers, if there are two values, one in this matrix and another in this matrix, then you add up and write down in this global stiffness matrix. So here we have obtained the global stiffness matrix of size 6 by 6. So this is that matrix. Okay. Now we will apply uh, the Rayleigh-Ritz method, or you can say principle of minimum potential energy, PMP. So we will apply PMP, that is principle of minimum potential energy, which says that the global stiffness matrix into global displacement matrix is equal to global force matrix. So this is global displacement matrix. This is also global stiffness matrix, global displacement matrix, and this is global force matrix. So global displacement matrix is this same matrix will appear here. Okay. So we will take the same matrix here. Then the global displacement matrix will be V1 theta 1, V2 theta 2, V3 theta 3. Then the global force matrix means uh, here we need to consider the linear force and angular force. So F1, M1, F2, M2, and F3, M3. So these are the loading or the force matrix, global force matrix. Now after that, we will apply the boundary conditions. So after applying the principle of minimum potential energy, next we will apply the boundary conditions and the loading conditions. First we will apply the boundary condition. Okay, so boundary conditions means what kind of support, what kind of supports are there in this beam. So here node number 1 is completely fixed. Okay, node number 1 is completely fixed. That means there is no linear or angular displacement. So here value of V1 and value of theta 1 is 0. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. So, this node is fixed. So that is why no displacement at this node. Similarly, the free end, or not free end, the roller support end. रोलर सपोर्ट एंड में क्या है कि डिस्प्लेसमेंट इन y डायरेक्शन इज कंप्लीटली रिस्ट्रिक्टेड, तो v3 भी क्या रहेगा, v3 जो रहेगा वो क्या रहेगा, जीरो रहेगा। v1 जीरो रहेगा क्योंकि नोड नंबर 1 फिक्स है, तो v1 जीरो रहेगा, थीटा 1 जीरो रहेगा, और जो रोलर सपोर्ट वाला एंड है उसमें v3 जो है, जो वर्टिकल डायरेक्शन में डिस्प्लेसमेंट है, वो जीरो रहेगा। लेकिन थीटा 3 जो है वो अलाउड है, क्योंकि थ्री जैसा ये बीम जो है नीचे की तरफ डिफ्लेक्ट होगा, ऐसा डिफ्लेक्ट होगा, तो ये जो एंगुलर डिस्प्लेसमेंट है, ये एंगुलर डिस्प्लेसमेंट ये एंड पे ये जो है ये अलाउड है। तो थीटा 3 हैज गॉट सम वैल्यू, थीटा 2 और v2 ये तो रहेगा ही, क्योंकि ये एंड तो इस पे कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं है। तो हमारी जो बाउंड्री कंडीशंस रहेगी बेसिकली v1 विल बी जीरो, theta 1 will be 0, and v3 will be 0. So these are our three boundary conditions. So first v1 is 0, so cancel out the first row and first column. Then theta 1 is 0, so cancel out second row and second column. And v3 is 0, so cancel out the v3 wala row and v3 wala column. So these are our boundary conditions. Now we apply the loading conditions. Now there is only one external loading is given, that is of 20 kilonewton in downward direction. Okay, so this is the only loading that is mentioned in the numerical. So we will apply F2 equal to 20 kilonewton है, इसलिए 20 into 10 to the power 3. And since the direction of the loading is downward, so we will take minus 20 into 10 to the power 3. So this is the load which is given in the numerical, so we will apply it. M2, there is no moment applied at node number 2, so it will be 0, and there is no moment value given in the numerical, so M3 will be 0. Now the remaining matrix is 24, 0, 3000, 0, 2 into 10 to the power 6, 5 into 10 to the power 5, 3000, 5 into 10 to the power 5, and 10 to the power 6. So these are the 3 by 3 matrix. This is the 3 by 3 matrix which is remaining after boundary conditions, and V2, theta 2, and theta 3. So these are the three displacements which are remaining after applying the boundary conditions, and these are the loading which are remaining after the boundary conditions. Now we multiply this matrix with the displacement matrix, so 24 into V2, so multiply 24 into V2 plus 0 into theta 2 and 3000 into theta 3. And don't forget this 400 is here. So after multiplication, this is 400 into 24 into V2 plus 3000 into theta 3 minus 20 into 10 to the power 3. यहाँ पे फर्स्ट रो के लिए क्या दिया है, minus 20 into 10 to the power 3. Then second row multiply by this column is equated to M2, which is having value 0. So 400 into 2 into 10 to the power 6 theta 2 plus 5 into 10 to the power 5 theta 3 is equal to 0, and 400 in bracket 3000 into V2 plus 5 into 10 to the power 5 theta 2 plus 10 to the power 6 theta 3 is equal to 0. So these are the three equations, and these are the three unknowns, V2, theta 2 and theta 3. So three equations, three unknowns. So you can easily find out the values of V2, theta 2 and theta 3. Okay, so here the the values of the unknowns, that is v2, theta 2 and theta 3, are find out, and it comes out to be theta 2 and theta 3. These are the angular displacements. So that is why the unit of the angular displacement is in radians, and v2 is a linear displacement, and that is why the unit of v2 is centimeter. So theta 2 is 0.000312 radians, theta 3 is 0.0125 radians, and v2 is equal to minus 3.646 centimeter. So these are the displacements that we obtain uh, through this finite element method to this beam. Now, a beam is subjected to transverse loading. Now, in some problems, there may be a situation where uh, uniformly distributed load will be applied. Okay, uniformly distributed load will be applied to entire span. So these are some of the variations that you can come across while solving the beam problem, but the procedure will remain same. So this is the uniformly distributed load, UDL. Okay, this is the UDL problem. This is one of the variation. Sometimes instead of applying the UDL to entire span, there may be a case where the UDL is applied to only half portion. So these are the two variations of UDL. UDL applied to entire span of the beam. UDL is applied to some portion of the beam. Then there is uniformly varying load. Okay, UVL, uniformly varying load. So here in this uniformly distributed load, the magnitude of the loading is constant throughout the span. Okay? Whereas in uniformly varying load, the magnitude is varying uniformly. So the magnitude is varying uniformly. So this is UVL case. Or there may be case where the entire span of the beam is applied. So these are some of the variations that you may come across while solving the beam problem. Okay. You know how to solve it. You can go through the literature available uh, on UDL and UVL, and from, but the procedure of solving the problem remains the same. Okay. Procedure for solving the problem remains the same. So So in this way, we have come to an end of this elective mechanical vibrations. We started with unit number 1, which is a single degree of freedom system. There we have seen the free vibrations, forced vibrations, damped, undamped systems. Okay. Then we move on to unit number 2, which is vibration absorber, which is a case of 2 degrees of freedom. Then unit number 3 is multi-degree of freedom. Then unit number 4, which is infinite degree of freedom, that is continuous system. Then unit number 5 is finite element methods to step bars and beams. And unit number 6 is the vibration measuring instruments. So in this way we have tried to cover each and everything of all the 6 units that you have in the syllabus. I know that the syllabus is very, very vast, uh, to be completed in the stipulated period, but somehow we managed to finish it out. And tomorrow is the last teaching day for the final year students. So as far as your undergraduate study is concerned, tomorrow will be the last lecture, and after that, had it been a physical classes, then tomorrow's day would have been very, very memorable for you. Okay. But somehow, because of this lockdown situation, you may not be able to enjoy that moment of last teaching day, particularly for the final year students. Uh, and the second thing I would like to discuss is that since you have taken this elective, I don't know whether I have given the justice, or maybe I may not be come to our expectations. Maybe I may go very, very fast to cover the syllabus and may not able to live up to your expectations. So, but this is what the syllabus was demanding, and that is why I tried to complete each and every topic of this syllabus in this stipulated period of time. So, since this is the last lecture, so I would say uh, goodbye for the last time. And if you can share something, then you can speak it out. Would you like to say something?
अच्छा नहीं लग रहा।
Yes, yes, Sumit.
Sir, please upload the PDF of this lecture.
ये लेक्चर की पीडीएफ
Yes, sir.
अपलोड करूँ?
Yes, sir. अपने
ठीक है,
WhatsApp ग्रुप पे.
व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में। ओके, ठीक है ना।
Yes, sir.
तो ये मैं पीडीएफ अपलोड कर देता हूँ, अभी कर देता हूँ। ओके, मैंने अपलोड कर दिया। ओके, so thank you very much for attending this class. Thank you very much and have a nice day. So thank you. You can leave the
Thank you, sir.
meeting now. Yes, thank you.